sip of the old leg lamp cup here. All right, man. Back again with another 52 travel size segment. Back in it. This time we're packing our bags, going back to 1984, and we're gonna go skiing. We're gonna do a little skiing. Apparently, back in the 80s, man, skiing was a thing. Like there's a little trendy part there in the 80s where in 84, in 83, 1983, I watched this. The other night I was watching movies, and sometimes I go on a thing where I want to watch old ass movies from the 80s just to kind of remind myself about being a kid again. I like going back to that time when I was a kid. Again, like I always talk about, in my room, watching HBO, Friday night, Saturday night, just staying up late watching movies, watching the most by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. They have the most ridiculous and raunchy ass movies you can think of, and I shouldn't have been watching those at 7 years old, but I was, and that's what shaped me now. So here we go. So I was watching the other day. I took the time. I sat down. I was just flipping through my favorite app, Tubi. Came across Hot Dog Movie. I hadn't seen Hot Dog Movie in, man, like maybe like since the early 2000s, like 20 years ago, like I said, because I like going through these movies and some just watching these old movies, man. They take me back, man. Anyway, watching Hot Dog the Movie, 1983, and again with the skiing thing, the whole thing, like they had skiing, like that came out, and then right after that, like One Crazy Summer came out, and that was about skiing too, and I guess it was just a thing. And there's some other movies, Ski Patrol. There was some other movies that had to do with skiing, and it was a big thing, I guess, in the 80s. Skiing was of all the rage. It's basically the whole movie is about tits and snow, which is not bad. Which is not a bad combo, but cold, nipples. I get what they're doing. Anyway, what I was watching was there was this the guy who was in it, the main character. He wasn't a big star. He wasn't a big name, but there was also some like little side characters. They were kind of big names. Like Shannon Tweed was in it. Shannon Tweed is now married to, or is married, or for a while now, to Gene Simmons from Kiss. And back then, man, she was quite the looker. Shannon Tweed, she was quite the looker. She was a big deal. She was all the softcore porn movies and on Skinamax and HBO, all the late night stuff, after hours things. And she was on there, and she was in the movie. She was, of course, the hot lady that everybody wanted to bang and whatnot. And then also too, there was the other guy, the other side character, which was he was on. So it's a movie, and it's basically it's teamed up to bad guys, good guys. The good guys, of course, is the guy that comes to town. He was going to go skiing on this competition, and he travels there. He's the guy who has no money, but he's got all talent. And he goes up against a German team. The German guy's name is Rudy, and he's been through the Olympics, all this stuff. Big shot guy, and so he comes to this competition. I forget the guy's name, the main character's name. I forget it. It's neither here nor there. It was just fun. It's just cheesy, raunchy, 80s stuff. It's got the wet t-shirt. It's got the typical wet t-shirt contest. People getting hammered doing drugs. It's got the soft porn scenes where, they're naked, of course, but they're just in there, they're just kind of smashing bodies. Nothing's happening. People are just smashing bodies anyway. And, it's ridiculous. But, yeah, again, Shannon Tweed. And then the other guy that was going to talk about, the side character, David Naughton. David Naughton. And if you know American Wolf in London, he's the main character from what I recall. Yeah, he's the main character in American Werewolf in London. And he also did some other tiny things, like he was in the Dr. Pepper campaign ads back in the 80s. And I didn't know this, and I did a little deep dive on David there. And he, in, what was it, like 70 something, during like the height of disco, like 70 something, 78, something like that. He had a song, it's called, it's the best. It's called Making It. It's not even making it with the G, it's making it just M-A-K-I-N. M-A-K-I-N. Making It. It's just so cheesy. I love it. It's 80s, it's so 70s, it's 80s. I love that vibe where you didn't spell the whole word. I just take the G off, Making It. Anyway, so he had this disco song. He was a big hit with that, and he was essentially one of the good guys in this movie, Hot Dog Movie. He was one of the good guys. He befriended the main character. They became friends. They all like hang out. They get drunk. It's again, it's just one of those comedies. It was just funny. Everybody's doing debauchery left and right. It's funny. It's just comedy. It was just a good comedy movie, good silly movie. And I wanted to watch it because I like sitting down watching stupid, retarded cheesy movies like that, and it just takes me back to being a dumbass kid, and I love that. And so this is, like I said, the German bad guy, and then the funny thing is, even back then there was, now you have to have diversity, you have to have, everybody's got to be involved and included, which I get it. But they were doing it already in the 80s, but you just didn't like the way they were doing it in the 80s, because in the 80s they weren't being PC about it. Like they had the weirdo guy, they had the weirdo dude with the weird hair, they had I guess you could say they had like they had kind of like a gay character, and then they had an Asian character, and the Asian character, they really went to town on the stereotypes. Like they were at there was a bar scene, they're all drinking, they're all getting to know the new guy. And they're talking to them, they're all having beers and whatnot. And then the Asian guy is like, I'll take a beer. And, his name, of course, had to be Kamikaze. That was his nickname, of course. And then, so they're having drinks, and then they're drinking, and they're eating peanuts. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what and the Asian guy gets his peanuts, and he karate chops his peanuts. And it's just like, dude, could you be any worse with the stereotypes? It's just funny, though. But like I said, back then, you don't think about stuff like that, because it's just funny and silly, and it's just, it was just the way things were. It was just loose. Nobody was offended. It was just a good time, man. Anyway, it was a funny movie. He karate chopped his peanuts. So anyway, the movie goes on, and then the competition happens, and then there's great music in it. There's great music means the cheesier, the greater it is. So for me, it was on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being and 10 being the cheesiest. I love it on 10 all the time. And the whole movie, throughout the movie, was a cheesy movie. But they did showcase a song. I guess they had just came out, and they were showcasing it. It was Duran Duran's Hungry Like a Wolf. And there's a big scene that they're having where it's like a big kind of orgy thing where people are having, like I said, doing drugs and stuff and whatnot. And the main character gets to, he goes in a hot tub and he sleeps with Shan Tweed, and his love interest gets mad at him and whatnot. It's a big ordeal. You got to watch it. If you have time, watch it. It's called Hot Dog the Movie. And Hungry Like the Wolf is playing, and you could tell like they were showcasing because it was new. It was just out, and MTV, and I'll get into MTV in a minute. I'll come circle back around to MTV in just a minute when I get into the other thing I'm going to bring up. MTV. So yeah, they do the whole thing, and then there's a scene where the competition starts. Competition is getting heavy. The good guy, the main character, is going against the German guy, Rudy, and the stereotypical German guy with the German voice, and he's evil and all that good stuff. Played up really well. They did really well on that. Anyway, him and Rudy are going head to head in this competition, and then a song comes out, and the song is called "Hold On Now." And as a kid, I remember when I watched this the other day. I used to like that. That song really, struck a nerve in me as a kid. And even now, it's just like I go back and it takes me back to that. And the guy that made that song was Cliff Magnus, and Cliff Magnus is a big songwriter. I think he did some stuff with let's see, he did some stuff with newer folks now. I can't remember, actually. I had it all written down, I lost it. But anyway, Cliff Magnus makes this song called "Hold On Now," and it's in the movie. It's like a showcase in the movie. It's like a big part where it's like the crescendo of the movie, and it's like the competition is getting heavy and whatnot. So that song comes out. Again, I go a deep dive on this guy, Cliff, and he does all these songs from the 80s, and I guess he works with a lot of stars, and I can't remember now. I'll probably put some of the images of the people he worked with, but he was always behind the scenes. That was the only song that he had one other song, but this was the kind of song that was showcased in a movie at the time. And this was this movie was kind of big at the time in '84 and '83. And so the song, it's like I said, it's got a nice hook to it and stuff. It's interesting that a guy that makes that was making cheesy ass music like this, he actually he was actually making real real radio commercial music later on in his career, and he did really well at it. He did fantastic. But yeah, Hot Dog the Movie, man, you gotta, if you like just mindless silliness, comedy, just cheesiness, that's the Hot Dog the Movie. Like I said, I got it on Tubi. I saw it on Tubi. Like I said, I enjoyed it. And then the main character is funny. I always forget about this. The main character, he's gonna do a stunt, kind of like Running Dangerous does the triple Lindy, and Back to School. Well, this guy, the main character, the good guy in this movie, Hot Dog Movie. It's called the Ass Kick Blaster. Is his movie that he's gonna do. That's nobody's ever seen this move. Essentially, it's just the twist with a triple flip, and it's called Kick Ass Blaster. Is what it's called, Kick Ass Blaster, and it's funny. And like I said, he does his move and he hits it, and he gets it's all rigged up. He gets shortchanged, and the Russian should have been a Russian. The German guy wins. Rudy wins the competition, and after that, there's a brouhaha, and then they get into a thing, and it turns into an '80s at the end where they're having a snowball fight. Pretty cheesy stuff, but anyway, I like it that way. Like I said, extra creamy cheese. But if you have a chance, check out Hot Dog the movie, classic '80s garbage, that I love, that I grew up on. Again, it reminded me of like One Crazy Summer, with that feel to it, with the silly jokes and the nonsense. Anyway, Hot Dog movie, I caught that YouTube. And then to kind of keep going on that kind of same, that's kind of the same era in the 70s, 80s. That's my sweet spot there. Those are the decades that I like the most, the 70s and 80s. 90s were okay, but I wasn't into the 90s. I was more 70s, 80s. And I watched HBO on Max, not HBO, Max. We watched, sat down, took my time. It was like, I think it's 2 hours, I think. And it's a Yacht Rock documentary. And it's just the history of Yacht Rock, where it came from, the genre, where the name of the genre came from, Yacht Rock, because it wasn't really that wasn't the name of it. It was some comedians down in LA, and they were like kind of like the Growlings, kind of a comedy group like that. I think it was like before the internet hit big, like YouTube. These guys were making this web video, and it was, making fun of the guy, making fun of that genre of yacht rock music, and they coined that phrase. Those guys, I forget who they were. They coined this phrase yacht rock, and it kind of stuck with it and it kept going. But yacht rock was originally a music genre that started in '76, and this is the classic stuff, man. It's like when you hear those commercials, the light and airy favorites of the '70s and '80s. That's yacht rock. It's that kind of heavy rock music, kind of a little heavy music rock, but soulful, a little jazz, and jazz feel to it, little horns and stuff. And this is where I, this is music that I grew up on, like Michael McDonald. He was a big the music that growing up. That's what I listened to. Michael McDonald, the Doobie Brothers, like Styx, those kind of bands. Those are the bands that I grew up on, and they were on the radio all the time, and I listened to them. I loved those, and I had to go buy the cassettes, of course. And that was a big part of my growing up. Christopher Cross, excuse me. I'm thinking about Chris Christopherson, not him. Christopher Cross, of course, he did Sailing. That's a huge hit. I think not New Kids on the Block. Was it Backstreet Boys? No, not Backstreet Boys. NSYNC. They redid it. They brought it back, and that kind of rejuvenated Christopher Cross's his career when they did Sailing, because they did it just like the way he did it, and they killed it. Like I said, I hate to admit it, but they did a good job with it. Anyway, I'm going to get ahead of myself. But so anyway, the Yacht Rock documentary was great. It started off how the whole thing started, and excuse me, it was in '76. And like Michael McDonald, the Doobie Brothers were starting to get. They had that vibe, that music, that the piano in it, the organ, and the guitars, and they had this sound to them, and they started getting some traction on themselves there. And they came out. They were in shows like What's Happening. They were in there. I think Rerun. It's pop locking and shit. Rerun. And I think they went to a concert. Him and Raj and them. They went to a concert. And they were the first original Napster. Rerun was their first original Napster. He took a big ass cassette thing, and he had a Rerun was wearing this big ass trench coat, and he had stored away a big ass tape recorder, those old school tape recorders you could push record and record and play at the same time. And he took one of those big ass things and put it in there, and he wanted to record the Doobie Brothers concert, and they had front row. He did it, he had it going, he started dancing and shit, and the fucking tape recorder pops out, and the Doobie Brothers stop, Doobie Brothers are gonna stop a big ass show to see what Rerun's doing. So the Doobie Brothers stopped the show, and they're like, oh man, that's, what are you doing? You're recording our show, you can't do that, man, you're ripping us off, man, Napster, Lars. But, so anyway, that they were showcased, the Doobie Brothers were showcased in What's Happening. And again, one of my favorite TV shows growing up, Rerun, say Raj, Shirley got her own spinoff, which wasn't that good. Shirley's wasn't that good of a spinoff, but those shows, man, those shows shaped my childhood, man. The comedy in those, just the way it was, man. That's how I grew up. The way the mom would spank the kids and shit. That was the way it was, man. That's the way it was growing up in that time. But yeah, so Doobie Brothers were showcased in What's Happening. Then Then you had other acts like Christopher Cross. Back to him, Christopher Cross. He came out like his first freshman year. He came out and he hit it big with I think it was "Sailing" was his first hit, and he made it big. Like, that was his freshman song on his freshman album, and he got all these awards and accolades, and he just killed it, man. He was destroying it. And then after that, like, he kind of went down. He wasn't doing much after that, and he kind of he's a good story. He funded his first album, like the studio time and all that stuff he did. He goes, man, when I was growing up, I was a big pot dealer. I sold a lot of pot, man. He goes, so weed, pot, whatever, herb. He sold a lot of weed. And that's how he paid for his first, to record his recording sessions and everything. That's how he did his first album. And then he said, once I did it, I hit it big. I didn't have to do that anymore, of course. But after that record that came out, like his sophomore album didn't do too hot, and it just didn't do good. And then in 79, I think it was, he had just done a show in Houston. Go figure. He had done a show in Houston, and it was a small show he did, and he was gonna take a ride. He was riding with his buddy. His buddy was driving, and he was just kind of hit a wall with his writing. He just couldn't get anything written that was good that he could. He was like, man, I got nothing, man. He goes, man, we're gonna drive to Austin. That's like a 2.5 hour drive. Probably 3 back then, because there wasn't shortcuts that you couldn't go fast back then. So it was like a 3 hour drive. He said, essentially, and. He goes, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna drop acid. He drops acid, and this is what makes me sick about these guys with all this talent, man. Drops acid, driving to Austin, going down to fucking ATX, and while he's driving, he writes. And to most people, they probably don't give a shit, but for me, it's a big deal. He Ride Like the Wind, and that song was huge. And he wrote that song while tripping on acid, going towards Austin. He goes, what it was just the windows were down, everything hit perfect. He was just feeling it, and he just wrote the songs. The song just wrote itself, basically. But yeah, man, those stories like that fascinate me. It's like, I wonder where'd they write that? Was he sitting down behind a desk writing this? Was it a deep song? No, he's just fucking tripping on acid, and he's got to ride like the wind, man. It's just good stuff, man. Like that shit. I love those kind of stories. I love hearing those kind of stories. But he had some other good stories he had too in there. Gotta check it out. I think it's like 2 hours long, I think. And good documentary. And then the other thing was, he did this thing, and then he talked to, I think it was Paul McCartney. Or he liked because he said when he was going through that bad time, like, he was in a rut. He was kind of feeling depressed. And when he goes, and then he remembers these words that Paul McCartney said. He goes, I never have to pay for a therapist. He goes, I have music, and music is my therapy, and that fixes my mind. And he goes, and that's what stuck with him. So that's why when he wrote that, he was like, shit, this fixed it. And it blew up. And I think that song was that song, Ride Like the Wind, was big in, in Dickie Roberts, where David Spade plays a child actor, and he grows up, and then he doesn't have any more gigs, and he lives with his family. The whole Dickie Roberts thing. Anyway, that song was showcased, and that kind of revitalized again Christopher Cross's career. When that song came out, people were like, who the hell's singing the song? And revitalized that, and I guess that's probably the same time that NSYNC covered it, and not that one, they did Sailing, which again rekindled his whole career there. And yeah, man, this documentary, it really cut me close, man, because this is what I'm into, man. I love that. I always was into like that yacht rock, the soft rock kind of genre thing. Then you had like Toto was in there. It was another band that was in there. Toto was good. What was the other song? Steely Dan was in there. Steely Dan had some great hits, man. And these guys were all in there. They were all in this documentary. Anyway, apparently the guy from Steely Dan, the lead singer, is a douchebag. The guy that was making this documentary reached out to him and said, hey, man, do you mind if we want to reach out to you? You're a part of this genre of music called Yacht Rock, and we want to showcase you and talk about you in a positive, not shitting on you. But I guess the guy the guy knew of the Yacht Rock, genre, and he didn't want to be a part of that. Like, you're making fun of me kind of thing. And the guy's like, dude, we're going to showcase you and talk about how you change music, man. Like, people sample these things. Like, of course, if you don't know, you haven't heard it, you're deaf. If you haven't heard the Warren G, the Warren G hit with the Michael McDonald beat, Keep Forgetting, Things Will Never Be the Same Again. Warren G. Again, back to Toto, man. They had tons of hits, Africa. And the guy that wrote Africa, he's like, man, I had never been to Africa, It's like, I just kind of went off the cuff and was just like, what did it be like to see see Africa, experience it being there. So that's what the song was writing. He said he hadn't even been there before. He says, I didn't never travel like that, man. I just wrote the shit. I was just feeling it. And they also wrote Rosanna. And when they were writing that song, Rosanna, they had the thing, they had the hook, they had the music, all the song, the melodies, everything, but they didn't have the word. Like, how was it going to be? Like, what was going to be the name of the song? And I think one of the guys, from what they said, they were bullshitting, and they said one of the guys at the time was dating Rosanna Arquette, and apparently they walked in when they were doing the session, and they kind of like, oh shit, Rosanna. Okay, so that's what they say. Who knows? But that's what they say. That's how they named that song. But that's how. And then if it is, that's cool as shit. I like stuff like that. It's just stupid shit. I like dumb shit like that. Simple shit. Simple guy. And then MTV for these yacht rock guys. MTV comes out. Back to what I was talking about earlier about MTV. MTV comes out, and it ruins. I think music videos ruin some of these guys. Like the Toto guys, they're like, man, we felt stupid recording. Shooting videos, and it's like, guys, we know who we are. We're not made for TV. We're not good looking guys. We're just musicians. We're like, we're like studio musicians. We're not really, we're not cut out for the big stardom thing. And even Michael McDonald too. He was just like, he's like, man, that wasn't my thing. Man. I just wanted to make, good music. I didn't care about becoming a star. He goes, but I did a little bit of it. He goes, and but it wasn't my thing. And those guys kind of fell to the wayside. And but what happened with those guys? What happened was the brilliance of that music and that genre. It went well with movies. So those guys did a lot of soundtracks, like Kenny Loggins. Kenny Loggins, he made it big with the soundtracks. We all know that. Just like with Caddyshack, he did the opening song for Caddyshack. Top Gun, of course. Him and Messia and Loggins, they were a hit. They were a big group, and then Kenny Loggins kind of took off because his voice was so unique, and he would just stood out, and he kind of pulled himself away from the band, so he took off by himself. But yeah, Kenny Loggins is great, man. One of my favorite Kenny Loggins songs is not Top Gun. It's the song from it's called Meet Me Halfway, and it's from Over the Top. Stallone and the Kid were the arm wrestling movie. He rides with his son. They get to know each other. That's one of my favorite movies. Is Over the Top. And Meet Me Halfway is in that, and that's one of my favorite Kenny Loggins songs. And again, like people like bands like Journey and shit like that, they did some soundtracks. One of my ultimate songs is one of my favorite songs that comes to mind is Only the Young, and it's on Vision Quest. And again, Journey, they did a lot of soundtrack stuff because again, it's like they didn't translate well to MTV, so that's what they went to. They went to doing soundtracks, and they made a ton of money. You know how soundtracks are. That's big shit. And back then, people bought soundtracks. People loved movies and stuff. So worked out for them. And then as the MTV thing got bigger and bigger, acts like Michael Jackson came around and they made it big. And it was funny because let's see, it was like when Michael Jackson was coming out, Quincy Jones wanted Michael Jackson to have a song that was like it was at the time, like right before Thriller or during Thriller. I can't remember what they said, but it was right in that time. And he wanted Michael Jackson to be showcased with a massive song that showed that he had a voice and you could see how soulful he was. So Quincy Jones was cool with like one of the lead writers from Toto. So he reached out to him and said, hey man, like I got this new kid, I want to showcase his music range and show people off that he's extremely talented. And that guy from Toto was like, yeah man, I got this song that I've been working on like 3 or 4 years. He goes, but it just doesn't sound right with me singing it or us singing it. It doesn't sound right with us singing it. And it was Human Nature, and it was written by Toto. And they played the original of the Toto guy singing Human Nature, which turned out to be Michael Jackson's massive hit, huge hit. And then SWV, they sampled it, of course. But I'm just saying, I love all that music. But yeah, I was taken aback. I was like, oh shit, Toto, they wrote fucking Human Nature. That's an amazing song. Like when Michael does it, it's on another level. But when they did it, it had a different feel to it. But it was still great, man. It was like a little faster. It had a little more, not really rock, but it was a little faster. It had a little rock feel to it. But even Michael, like I said, Michael killed it. And but yeah, that came from Toto. I didn't know that. So yeah, Michael's Human Nature was from those guys. Who knew? But yeah, man, the Yacht Rock documentary was good, man. I love that. I love stuff like that. Oh, I had a field day with it. And after I watch something like that, then I do go into the music and I start, go as I go to work in the morning, I start listening to that music on my way to work because there's bands that I forgot about that band. Oh, I forgot about that band, and there were so many people that came, that whole genre of music they all worked together. That was the cool thing. It's like Michael McDonald would work with Kenny Loggins and they had songs that they would hit. And it was just a nonstop, again, one more last thing from the soundtracks. Michael McDonald's my favorite soundtrack song Michael McDonald has is with oh God, what is it? It's Gregory Hines and uh, Billy Crystal. They did a song like Cops, and I forget the name of the movie. And but it's called Freedom. Is a song I think is what it's called, Freedom. And it's Michael McDonald and the MTV music video. Again, I put a little clip down here. The MTV video is great, man. It's like Billy Crystal, one of my absolute favorite, because like Billy Crystal and Gregory Hines are like dancing and shit, and it's just so 80s and it's so good, man, and I love it. And it's like one of my favorite songs and videos because it's just like you see that video and that's got to be the 80s. They had the little crop top shirts on with the sweatpants on, and I think Billy Crystal had like one of those net shirts on. I can't remember, or vice versa, I think. But either way, and then you have them singing with Michael McDonald, and it's one of those cheesy ass videos that you can't get enough of. And Michael McDonald's doing his thing, and there's a part in that video, and it always gets me. I always have to stay and watch it, even if even if the song is like halfway over, I have to watch it for this one part. It's Michael McDonald. He's on the piano playing, and he's singing the song, and he's singing, and then he's singing, and like a little spittle flies out, and I have to watch the video until that part comes out. Then I can change it. I don't know what it is. It's just I'm got problems. But anyway, Michael McDonald, one of my favorite musicians. That whole his feel, the voice. You hear his voice, you're like, oh, I know who that is, And it was even, what was it? 40-year-old virgin. They hit on it where Paul Rudd hits on it where he's like, I'm gonna burn this place down. Like they got they got Michael McDonald playing in the background, the TVs and shit at that store they work at, and it's just that's funny to me. And that when I heard that, I was like, yeah, even Apatow, whatever his name is, Habitat for Humanity, whatever his name is, he hit it too. They knew that music touches people, and those artists touch people, and they slip those little things in there, and that's funny. That's great. I love that stuff. But yeah, I had to watch that Hot Dog the movie. You gotta watch Hot Dog the movie. Check out this documentary, Yacht Rock, and then I had to do it, man, because I heard so much negative crap about it, and I had to watch it for myself. And I wish I hadn't, but I did it anyway. I went on and did the second Joker. Watched it the other day. The other morning, I was having my coffee, and I sat down and I was watching it, and it was just like, wow, this is rough, man. You know what it was? It'd be different if like the musical tunes or the show tunes were like good, but they weren't. And the other problem was right when if you haven't watched it, spoiler alert, who gives a shit? Towards the end, I think there's like 20 minutes left, and then he's in the court, and the court blows up, and he escapes, and these guys take him, and they take him in their car, and they escape. It's like that part, like after that part, it was good, like it was decent, it was a good movie. Like why couldn't the movie be like that? Like why couldn't the movie be like that? They could have had the court scene, all of that, at the beginning of the movie instead of having all that other bullshit they had. Had him in the court thing, blow up. He gets out, he does some bullshit, then he goes back to his old apartment. Like they could have done a bunch of stuff with it. I don't know why they, the musical route, because it wasn't good. I don't know. I always will like the footage, the way it looks, the grittiness of it. It's my absolute favorite, the way it looks. It has that 70s feel to it. I know it's filters or whatever they put on them, but I just love that look, man. The 70s look, dirty. I love that look, man. How the buildings are all dirty and dilapidated, and it's like, I love that look. And but I tried it. I tried it. And I couldn't. It took me like 2 days to watch. I watched like an hour, and then I was like, I had to get away from it. I did something else, and I came back to it and finished it up at the end. But I think I finished it this morning, and it was just finally, it's like, God, finally. But it did. It was. It's not. I would never recommend that. That was bad. Like I said, the last 20 minutes was decent. The last 20 minutes was okay, and but I had to watch it for myself. I'm not one of those that's like, oh, critics say or people say it's the worst movies ever. No, I have to watch it for myself. I have to watch it and be my own judge, and I did, and it's what I expected. It's what I expected because I heard all the music notes, the music music parts were terrible. The tunes were terrible, and they were bad. Even Lady Gaga couldn't even say that one. It was rough, man. And she's pretty damn talented, man. Lastly, we kind of wrap this sucker up. It's Christmas time, where I think we're like 10 days away from Christmas, or something like 9 days from Christmas. And we had our company Christmas party, had a good time. We had Mexican food, it was great. Got to hang out with my coworkers. It was good to get to know them a little bit, get to know their wives and their better halves and whatnot. And took Jennifer with me. We had a good time. It was fun. And then got to hang out with my buddy Johnny there, and we got to BS a little bit, and it was nice. It was nice to have some normalcy at a company. Nice to have where they take care of you. You exchange presents and what you get gifts and whatnot. It's really cool, man. Really nice. But yeah, Christmas is coming up. I have to go. We have to get on top of it now because they got we got to watch all our Christmas movies. We got to watch Christmas Vacation, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We got to watch all our Christmas movies. We got to get them all in. Best Friend, was it Best Friends? Yeah, with Deadpool and what's her name? Amy Smart, I think it's her name. But that one is one of my favorite movies. We got to do our Christmas thing. We also will. What else? What we got going on? I think that's all we had going on. But like I said, we got to go watch our movies. We got to do our thing. Me and Dylan have to do our annual Bean Boozled thing where we eat the little jelly beans. They're gross. I think this year's new one was, I think it was dog poop or something like that. I don't know. I know last year's was Band-Aid. We ate Band-Aid last year. Anyway, so we got to do that. And then we got some cool stuff coming. I can't wait to show you guys. We went the other day, this past week, we went to go do a really cool video commercial kind of shoot thing with the old truck there, 1953. And it was fun. We took the day, me and Jennifer and our dad Tim. We went out, took the truck down to the big city down there, and we did a nice little video. And I'm looking forward to sharing that with y'all. We can't share it till like mid-January, but that's just respect out of the folks we did it with, and that's just. But I'm excited to show y'all what we got and what we captured and what they captured because they phenomenal stuff. I learned a lot of stuff about lenses and cameras, and what a $10,000 lens will do, what a $100,000 camera will do. It's fascinating stuff. I can't wait for y'all to see this stuff. What we did. But yeah, it's Christmas time. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll probably do another episode after the new year. Like I say, I do these sparingly now. I do them when I have something to say, or I feel like like I said, when I talk about something cheesy like Hot Dog the movie. I usually don't do these that often anymore. They're just for me, just for fun. And if you watch, cool. If not, no biggie. But I enjoy this, and keep doing it to next year. And we'll see you guys in 2025. And hopefully it'll be a new year, a new start. So thank y'all for listening, and stay tuned.